Today I'm going to be covering pretty much everything you need to know regarding Man the Gun's new naval system, from the new naval mechanics, how to train, and the missions. First, we're going to cover the most noticeable change of all, and that is this weird new icon thing, I guess you could say, where on the left hand side it shows a ship, on the right hand side it shows two numbers. Pretty much all this is on the left hand side it shows the most armored and most firepowered pack ship inside of that fleet. As you can see, aircraft carriers cost more production and they're obviously much stronger, so they are the left side icon even though you have battleships in the fleet. But since carriers are much more important, it shows a carrier icon. The battleships over here, the reason that's listed is because there's no aircraft carriers. Pretty much it shows the most powerful ship inside of that fleet. Now the numbers on the right, the top number is how many capital ships are in this fleet, pretty much showing that there's 14 capital ships, which makes sense because there's 11 heavy cruisers and 3 battleships making 14, and under that you see 41, which is how many light ships or screens are in that fleet. Currently in this update, capital ships are heavy cruisers and up, screens are light cruisers and down. Now that that's been said, there's a new map mode for the naval systems. You can either press F2 on your keyboard as a shortcut, or you can do what I do most of the time since I don't really mess with shortcuts, and just go down here to the anchor, click that, and you're now in the new naval mission screen, or the new naval map mode. Now I'm going to show you guys how to merge fleets, make a new fleet, and how to combine and create a task force. Pretty much as you can see on this side over here, now it's a lot like the army system. Instead, here's how this works. If you want to make a new task force altogether, there's a few different ways. First way you can do it is you select an already current task force and select the ships out of it. So we'll pick, say, 6 submarines. You can either do one of two things at this point. If you want to, this is the easiest way I've seen. You can click split the selected ships into a reserve fleet, and that puts them down here. Now if that's been done, you can select a few more ships, we'll say these destroyers, and do the same thing. Now once these two naval task forces are down there, hold shift, select both of them, and merge the task force. Now it'll take a couple days for them to get there. On the right hand side you can see the number of how many ships are still on the way, and then on the left hand side you can see, well not the left hand side but the anchor, as you can see it's just sitting there right now because the ships are kind of far away, but that's pretty much how you combine and make a task force. Any new ships also that are deployed while you're currently in this mode and you're making ships, the new ships will actually appear in a reserve fleet right here. So you can see we just finished a submarine. So another way to create a task force, and this is a little bit more complicated but still works all the same. If you're going to make a new fleet altogether, select the ships out of this fleet. We'll just leave that one up there. Alright, let's just select these 3. You can then click create a new task force, and now it's appeared under the same general or fleet admiral. You can then select that task force and click the little button down here to create a new task force. And then boom, you now have a fleet along with those selected ships. Now the only way to actually combine a task force that I've been able to see is once you've done that, the other methods I showed you where you select ships that you want specifically, and then just kind of unassign them, go down here, and then pretty much move them up. And then once they've been moved up, you can then combine them. That's really the only way I've been able to find out how to create a new task force or really combine and move the ships around. It's a little complicated, but if there's an easier way, go down there in the comments below and let me know. This is just what I've seen that works the best. Now, unfortunately, one thing that does not work with this is if you select a ship, unlike in the normal general system, you can't right-click on there and just simply add the ships to an already current task force. You have to select the little pitchfork, trident thing. You have to click it inside of that task force, and then merge the ships together. That is the only way I've been able to actually find out how to merge a task force so far, unfortunately. Next, how do you actually train your fleets now? This is probably one of the most simplest things. If you're not going to be at war for a while, one thing I have already found out is a lot easier to do compared to just going general to general, or fleet admiral to fleet admiral. Just select everybody and put them under one group, and oh my goodness, that's a lot of people. Pretty much after you've done this, you just select the fleet admiral like you normally do for a general, and then click naval exercises. Currently, the way I've been able to figure this out, the more ships, the more planes, the more troops you have deployed grants you more naval experience. As you can see, as the United States, the whole entire Navy training grants pretty much 1 XP a day, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be nerfed pretty soon. So get your achievements while you can, folks. Now let's talk about the new naval missions you have. Pretty much, you notice a lot of these are about the same. Patrol means you're just kind of looking around, checking out things. Search and destroy means, or strike force is now what it's called. Pretty much, it's just your guys they're kind of waiting around islands, I guess, if you're in the Pacific, or they're kind of sticking close to naval areas, ports, things like that. And then once they're able to find an enemy fleet, since they're kind of sticking together, more ships will enter the contact. So if you have a huge, gigantic fleet and you're patrolling looking for something, it's a good idea to use strike force so they stay together. Patrol means they're more spread out, so it's harder for them to actually kind of get more ships into an engagement at once. However, it's also kind of cool because even though less ships are getting in the engagement, you're finding the enemy fleet faster. Convoy raiding, that's pretty obvious. It just, you prioritize taking out convoys first. Convoy escort, you're escorting your own convoys first. But now the new missions. It's mine laying, mine sweeping, and naval invasion support. Now, just because these two are grayed out doesn't mean your entire fleet doesn't actually have the capabilities of deploying mines or mine sweeping. That's because the only time these will actually appear and let you select them is if you're at war. Now, personally, I haven't really experimented too much with mine laying. The experiences I've had with it, because the AI is a little bit more complicated now, it doesn't really use the Navy too well. I haven't really had many, I guess, destroyed enemy ships or enemy damaged ships or anything due to mine laying. Haven't really had any issues with mine sweeping. I really wouldn't recommend doing that yet until people can figure out how to actually use them, me included. Now, the newest one that is, so far in my opinion, the coolest is Naval Invasion Support. Pretty much, you just click Naval Invasion Support, select the regions you want your Navy to follow, and then literally what will happen is any troop transports carrying a division on the way to naval invade through this route, your fleet will escort it all the way there, and then once it's there in the island, it will actually put the ships nearby and allow them to commence shore bombardment, giving your guys bonuses for naval invasions. Now let's talk about the new way naval missions actually work. Beforehand, if you were to say use a destroyer task force like this, and you told them to patrol, say, here, here, and here, they will patrol all three zones. Compared to now, what happens is you select it to patrol certain areas and so on. Well, pretty much all that happens is that naval task force will sit there, patrol that area, and then it will move up to the next area, and then the next area, and so on. So now what you need to do is, by the way, to add or remove missions now, what you can do is select the fleet that you are going to be doing missions with, select the mission, we'll be doing patrol, you then right-click the areas. Now say for example if you didn't want to do that, you don't hit control right-click, that just tells it to stop the mission, but it leaves these zones up. So if you were to do that, and then put on search and destroy, it tells it to use the same areas. What you need to do is if you're trying to send it somewhere else entirely, you need to create or cancel the entire mission altogether. What you do is you hold shift and then right click the zones one by one so there's nothing left. Now what you need to do is if you're wanting to patrol multiple zones, have enough fleets together. As you can see, we have 5 naval fleets together. We want to patrol Gulf of Mexico, Florida coast, Eastern Seaboard, Newfoundland, and then Sargasso Sea. What you would do is click patrol, right click these areas. Now the numbers down here, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure what they mean yet. From what I've seen, this is pretty much just saying how many patrol groups are going to be able to patrol these zones. Since when you remove them, one of them will go 2 to 5. When you remove that one, it goes 3 to 5. You remove this one, it goes 3 out of 5, 2 out of 5. I'm pretty sure that's what it means. It just means how many groups are going to be able to patrol these zones. So now that we've done that, our groups will move to the areas and stick in those zones, patrolling it, getting us naval superiority in the entire area. Now let's talk about upgrading older ships. Pretty much all you have to do is find a fleet with an older type of ship in it. So let's say this one might be kind of older. Yep, here we go. So first you'll see this little button over here on the right called Upgrade Ship. What you can do is click that and it will show all the available versions of the ships you can use to swap them out to. All you have to do is just click it, and then it says it'll be sent to a dockyard if you want to do this, and then it will leave, go there, repair the ship, or pretty much just convert the ship over, and then once it's done becoming the new version of the ship, it'll actually return to the task force that's already got missions at hand. One thing you'll probably notice when going in the Naval Designer, at least as the US, you'll see a lot of ships that is telling you you're not allowed to build. Well, a couple reasons is because one, you're in probably the London Naval Treaty. If that's not it, which by the way, you can actually see if you're in the London Naval Treaty by, I think it's down here. Yep, here it is. You need 150 political power, and then you can leave it. So then you can make ships, but that's not the reason you have all these. The main reason you can't use some of these, such as say for example this aircraft carrier hull right here, is because you have to create a variant and then add a flight deck. After you've added a flight deck and save it, now you can use that aircraft carrier deck. A lot of these ships will not actually have any kind of armament on them, and they're just more of base models that you can use and correct, and then you're able to pretty much use them once you've added the required type of modules. So that's pretty much all you have to do to get this stuff unlocked. Now, I don't have enough naval XP, that's why I can't do that one. But as you can see, you just need to add the equipment at the bottom. Either make it a light cruiser with AA, or light guns, or a heavy cruiser. Pretty much do whatever it is you want to do to get that type of carrier hull. Now, to actually unlock some of these things, what you have to do is go into the research slot available, go over here to your naval tree, and as you can see, you have all this different new stuff you can get. Now, damage control and fire control methods, these aren't actually things you add to the ship. Instead, they're bonuses. However, armaments are things that you can add to your ships, and those are what go and upgrade them. Mine warfare is another thing. Your ships mostly, as the US at least I've seen, already start out with the option to do mine laying, so these are more just research and get more bonuses. Now, if you go back up a little bit more again, as you can see, a lot of this stuff is kind of locked to these ships. So if you see something that's under a ship going right, that's kind of locked to it. So see, these basic torpedoes, these are locked towards the submarines. These ship things up here, these all or nothing schemes for the weapons, those are locked exclusively to battleships. These are locked exclusively to light cruisers, or just cruisers in general to make them a heavy or a light. And these are locked to destroyers. Well guys, I think that's pretty much it. I think that is more than enough information about the new naval design features, at least the things that I've experienced and am pretty confident in telling you guys as of right now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully you guys are enjoying Man the Guns. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time. Stay awesome.